Hi and welcome to today's live chapter reading of Secure Desire by R.L. Dunn, courtesy of Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. To hell with the bastard. He doesn't own your right to come here. Look at the sight you're missing. Sophie pointed to two handsome men working on laptops. They're serious eye candy. You're right, Soph. Maybe it's the time. Sophie turned serious. Cass, you have to say something. You can't let Wiles get away with this. Look, I stopped him before he got too far. If I report it, it's he said, she said. And Soph, believe me, I'm not the first agent Wiles has done this to. Sophie scowled. You can live with that? This time I have no choice. I'm not the one to fight this battle. Wednesday night is the event, and when the job is complete, I'll be free of him. I can come back to our division. Besides, the reality is, even without my personal history, if I say anything, I'm a pariah. The athletically thin, raven-haired woman with golden hazel eyes tapped her fiery red fingernails against the tabletop. Cassie, please. If this were happening to me, you'd be rattling sabres, screaming sexual harassment. Wells has lots of power. You know the FBI is part of the Good Old Boys Club. I had to jump through extra hoops to get where I am. It's a temporary assignment. Her voice was low. No one can help without it backfiring on them. I can't ask anyone to risk his or her career. She placed the catalogue of novel art in front of them, effectively changing the topic. What do you say, after Memorial Day, a weekend in New York? Suddenly, Cassie's skin prickled. A repellent smell swarmed her senses. An oriental cologne with amber notes mixed with sweat and clove cigarettes. An overpowering feeling of nausea washed over her, and goosebumps erupted down her arms. The visceral reaction was so strong, she wrapped her fingers around her cup to ward off the icy feeling enveloping her. She scanned the area. No one appeared threatening or familiar. The aroma dissipated into a cloud of steam from a fresh latte. She concentrated hard to maintain her flagging self-control. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, out. Cassie focused on her watch. I'm sorry. Gotta go. She ran out the door. The hot black coffee scalded his tongue. He ran his thin fingers through his messy white blonde hair while his other hand reached for another sugar packet. His heart sped up after spotting Cassie in the corner with her friend. A display of the newest bestsellers provided him with a way to get closer. Cassiopeia Ellis, look at you all put together. You look a lot better than last time I saw you, my girl who got away. I think you're worth a repeat performance. He felt the tingles of arousal. I wonder if you'll come willingly this time, or if you require some assistance. Another thought crossed his drug-addled mind. Maybe I can make a little cash on the deal too. Cassiopeia Ellis, I missed you. Inside a cheerful den, Ian Chase sat relaxed on the buttery yellow, red and colonial blue striped overstuffed couch across from FBI Deputy Assistant Director Luke Paulson. He removed a file from his briefcase. Everyone all right? Luke asked, taking a sip from a glass of ice water. A few scrapes and a sprained knee. Nothing steady strips and some ice packs can't cure. Ian flashed a carefree smile, being less than candid about his team's injuries. Luke scanned the file's contents. How's Kieran enjoying married life? It's been almost a year now. He inquired about Ian's younger brother with a laugh. Bet Lil and Declan can't wait for a grandchild. You know it. Now they're in a find Ian a wife phase. Mum's better at executing a covert mission than JCOS. I have to tell you, enemy insurgents are easier to handle than her. Thank God Esther screens my appointments well. If one more woman stops by the office with a charitable cause to discuss, or is in the neighbourhood with cookies. Luke shook his head, amused. I should hook her up with Rachel. None of the boys have a regular girl. Each promised to give her 1 week's notice so she can get a dress in time for the wedding. Both men laughed. Their discussion was interrupted by the loud barks of Paulson's Labrador. Cassie drove up to the 6-bedroom, 4-storey white Federalist home in Georgetown in her metallic blue hybrid. The clapboard house with terrace porches overlooking the landscape backyard brought her a sense of peace. After the haunting deaths of her parents and younger brother 12 years earlier, Luke and Rachel Paulson became her guardians. The 16-year-old Cassie was treated as their daughter and a sister to the Paulsons' 5 sons. During a quick walk up the cobblestone front path, Cassie noticed her Uncle Luke's black FBI-issued Chevrolet Tahoe in the driveway. She also noticed 2 black sedans parked 500 feet down the block with 2 occupants inside each vehicle. Cassie needed to talk through the bookstore incident before dinner and before her Aunt Rachel came home from her job as a social worker in a DC elementary school. But first, she needed to discuss the suspicious vehicles. That thought short-circuited when she saw a sharp, expensive Ducati Diavolo motorcycle parked at the top of her driveway. A big black lab greeted her in the foyer with leaps, barks and squeals. "Knight, down!" In his excitement, the lumbering 100-pound dog knocked Cassie off balance. Damn! She landed hard on her bottom, the bottle of wine in her hand almost hitting the floor. "Cassie, are you okay?" Luke called out. She yelled back over the barking, "I'm fine, Uncle Luke. Just my pride, but I saved the wine." As she got up, Knight lifted her holster off her waist with his big jaws. "Knight, I'm going to kill you. Stop. It's a good thing you're cute. Knight, freeze." Cassie ran headlong into the den behind the naughty dog, just in time to see Knight drop her slobbered-on weapon into the lap of the man sitting across from her uncle. Cassie pulled to a halt, almost dropping the wine again. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." She was flustered by the man's presence. He seemed unfazed by the spit-soaked holster. "I'm guessing this belongs to you." The man managed to catch the wine and hand her the weapon at the same time. His electric blue eyes widened. Cassie couldn't find her voice. The clean-shaven man, sitting there in jeans and a fitted navy blue sweater, stretched across a muscular chest, exposing a smattering of black hair, with sleeves rolled to his elbows, looked magazine cover handsome. "Thank you." Cassie wiped the holster against her silky parachute pants and hooked it back on her hip, unable to take her eyes from him. Luke Paulson moved around the couch to pull her into a bear hug. "Pumpkin, you're early. I thought you were hanging with Sophie. Not that I'm unhappy you're here." He pressed her back with outstretched arms. "Are you eating? You look too thin." Cassie winced with embarrassment. "Yes, sir, I'm eating. I didn't mean to interrupt your meeting." Ian observed Luke's worried gaze. Now standing, the 6'3" Adonis watched Cassie with a spark in his eyes. The memory from 6 years ago flooded back to him. Auburn waves were pulled into a demure low bun, dressed in a vintage Halston ombre silk dress and sleek navy Valentino peep-toe heels. Her vibrant jungle green eyes glowed as brightly as her smile. "Well, Luke, where have you been hiding this beauty?" At the compliment, Cassie smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Her expression appeared well practiced. "Excuse me, Ian Chase, this is my niece Cassie." Ian grasped her extended hand and resisted the desire to lean down and kiss her cheek. Instead, he held her gaze. "Have we met before?" she asked. Ian nodded and smiled. "We have." Doe eyes turned alarmed. He felt a sudden need to comfort her. Where did this idea come from? "Pleased to meet you again, Dr. Ellis. We met at the National Gallery 6 years ago. You stole hearts and had the crowd eating out of your hands." A haunted look clouded her gaze. "It's Modine now, but thank you for the compliment. It was fun. I had the waitress put laxatives in the appetizers. It loosened the group up a bit." Ian's lips twitched at her sense of humour. "I'm glad I missed that." A glance at her left hand kicked up his heartbeat. No wedding ring. "Mr. Chase, could I borrow my uncle for a moment?" Luke Paulson's facial expression shift was almost invisible, but Ian still managed to observe the slight change. His intrigue with Cassie was growing. Her body had changed since the first time he saw her at the museum. Her 5'1" frame was lean, tight and fit. Those striking eyes seemed less carefree and more guarded. In the hall, Cassie asked about the 2 Suzannes. Luke's laugh was hearty. "Cassie, come back into the den. Ian, your team is losing its touch." She noted both sedans. Ian's brow arched with amusement. "I'm sorry to cause you alarm, Miss Modine. They're part of my security team. She let her guard down for a brief moment. They must love the Ducati. Protecting a person on a high-performance bike was not easy. A man of his economic stature faced a multitude of threats. She scratched Knight's ears to find something to do with her sweaty palms. Her heart still pounded with her earlier fear and something else. She remembered the feeling from once before in her life, the night she met a bearded stranger at the museum. It was the last moment before her life was torn apart a second time. Cassie, Ian, and Christian made it through BUDS together. BUDS was a basic underwater demolition and SEAL training, and Christian was eldest Paulson's son. Ian was also Caleb's platoon leader for a short time. Cassie shifted uneasily. He is the same man, a man who made her heart flutter. Come sit. Ian and I just finished a bit of business. How's work? Cassie frowned. I hate him. Wells is a misogynistic ass. The words fell out of her mouth, and Cassie didn't need to see her uncle's expression to realise he was expecting a less upfront conversation. I'm sorry, Mr. Chase. I usually think before I speak. Please call me Ian. I'm assuming you're talking about Supervisory Special Agent Greg Wiles and his ego. Cassie shot a worried gaze at her uncle. Before Luke could speak, Ian said, It's okay, don't worry, your secrets are safe with me. He handed her the small credentials wallet holding her FBI identification, which Knight had also stolen. Cassie flushed. Goodness, I'm sorry, Mr. Ian. If I offended you with my comments, oh God, I never thought you would know him. If he's a friend, I do apologise. Don't worry, Greg and I have known each other for a long time. Please don't judge me. It seemed like he could not take his eye off her. I'd better get going. I'll leave you to your uncle. He reached for her hand, his huge palm dwarfing her delicate fingers. Good day, Cassie. I look forward to seeing you again. The brief touch confirmed what Cassie's body knew. Ian Chase was her bearded stranger. I wish things could be different. You won't like me once you know what I am. Luke walked Ian to the front door. Thank you. Chase Security came through again. It would be a homeland nightmare if Dr. Breckenridge spent one more day in their custody. If it wasn't for you and your team. Luke's lips pressed into a tight line. I'll tell them. Call us any time. My best to Rachel and Team Paulson. That was his nickname for the 5 Paulson sons. He glanced down the hall. She's lovely, isn't she? Luke asked. Yes, sir, she is. A sad look passed Luke's eyes. She's dear to us. Ian nodded and moved to the bike. Tapping his Bluetooth, he said, I want a complete background check on FBI Special Agent Dr. Cassie Ellis Modine.